when he went overseas into Vietnam. It was very sad, lonely. I wasn't sure if he would come home in a body bag or if he would come home alive and walk off of that airplane. Well, he would send me his check every month, and I would deposit it into our bank account that we had opened before he left. We weren't married then, but we were engaged. And so he knew he could trust me to not spend his money unwisely. And I did not spend any of it. I put it into our checking account.
My base camp was Cu Chi and South Vietnam. It was one of the major base camps that really was in defense of Bien Hoa Air Force Base, which was that of Saigon, and a major base camp during the Tet offenses was arranged. Well, of course, the outside circle of the base camp was a perimeter, which was guarded for barbed wire and claymore mines, and entrances was guarded by personnel as well as tanks inside of the base camp. We had the various divisions, the 21st Infantry, 25th Infantry, and the various companies, the armored personnel, the engineer companies, the infantry companies, the Air Corps. In the middle of the base was the headquarters, and where the airstrip was, where C-130s and helicopters would come in. Well, the tank was simply an artillery weapon. A bunker which just contained M60 fire from several soldiers that was on guard duty. Well, it had a road that went all the way around it to each of the divisions or each of the companies, and then of course the airstrip was in the middle. It was about a half a mile long. Okay. Because Z-130s could land very short runways. We had tanks that was guarding the base all the way around. We had bunkers that was guarding it by personnel with M60s and M16s. We had claymore mines set up in the barbed wire barricades. Claymore mines was a instrument that was filled with little metal balls on C4. When it exploded, it went out and created shrapnel, which would hit the opposing forces. Search and destroy. In other words, you were searching for the enemy. You was trying to find out how they was moving supplies. Therefore, there were tunnels you'd try to discover and explode those tunnels to keep the supplies from. Minesweep is when the enemy had laid mine on the roadway of which our convoys would go, and we had to make sure those convoys every day was cleared. Those roads were cleared of any mines before the convoys went out. There were battles around the tunnels. There was battles around anywhere, and if you was in South Vietnam. We didn't use the tunnels at all. The North Vietnamese used them in the Viet Cong, which was North Vietnamese sympathizers.
It was a happy, joyous moment. And 2 weeks later, we got married. He came home on February the 14th, 1969. And we got married on February the 28th, 1969. So that was a happy, joyous time to see him get off of that airplane. Well, actually, I didn't see him get off because we were late getting to the airport. And he was already off. And he was standing there waiting. I was really wanting to get there on time, and I was sad. I was almost crying in that back seat because we weren't there for me to see him and run to hug him. But when I did get there, buddy, I ran and I hugged that man and said, "Oh, you get home. You made it home. You're all right. I'm glad to see you." And then I smacked one right on his lips.